Hey guys, welcome back to the channel again. So in today's video we're going to install Arch Linux from scratch using the February 2021 ISO. This is going to be done on a Dell XPS 159500 with a double graphic card. So we have there an Intel and an NVIDIA graphic card. And I'm going to do the base install and then quickly install a desktop environment because I want to show you some other options on how you can manage your graphic cards on such a laptop. This is probably going to work on other laptops as well, but without too much talking, let's jump into the terminal. Hey guys, welcome back again to my desktop. So today's video is going to be slightly different than the usual monthly install of Arch. The scenario is the following. So I got actually XPS 15, the 9500 series, which is the 2020 series. It's the one which is actually still famous for the for the wobbly trackpad. And so I could manage to get my hands on one of these defect devices, and I fixed the trackpad. The fix is fairly simple. You shouldn't have that in the first place, of course, but it was a lot cheaper, so I just got it. And it's a great laptop, besides that problem that it's easily fixed, but it shouldn't come with. It's a new laptop, and it's a shame that actually it was shipping with that sort of defect for many months. So what I thought actually, since I wanted to do the monthly install of Arch, I thought I'm gonna do it on this laptop because I want to show you something else about power management if you have an NVIDIA card and an Intel card. So the so-called NVIDIA Optimus. So this laptop here that you see behind my shoulders has a NVIDIA GeForce 1060 Ti and of course an Intel 630 UHD card. So it's a hybrid laptop. And I did already a video on the channel where I showed you how you can actually install Optimus Manager if you want to switch between graphic cards, and it takes care of also power management. In this video though, we're going to do it a little different. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to install Arch from scratch via SSH because I cannot show it directly on the laptop itself. I'm going to switch on the laptop once I install the desktop environment so that you can see what I will do with the power management there. And I'm going to install the base system and also very quickly a desktop environment. And it's basically going to be my laptop for the next month. So it's basically a setup that I'm going to use every single day. So without further ado, let's get started here. So we have my terminal, which is on my main machine here. I'm going to connect to my laptop here via SSH. And to do this, I have already SSH running on the laptop, which comes already pre-installed on the Arch ISO, and it's already active. So the only thing you need to do on the laptop here, what I did, is to give a password to the root user so that I can enter via SSH here. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to type in here SSH and then root at, and then I just need to look over my IP, which is 192.168.178.148 and hit enter. So I need to enter my fingerprint here and enter the password for the root user I have on the laptop. And as you can see now, I am logged in via SSH through my laptop here, and we can begin our installation. So I could do this because I already also activated internet, or Wi-Fi on the laptop. So how I did that, I just typed in IWCTL, which is the utility coming in the ISO. And then I know the Wi-Fi adapter name is WLAN 0. So I just typed in station WLAN 0 and then connect. And I know the name of my network, so I just entered the name there. And when I pressed enter, I just inserted my password and I was connected immediately. So it's a fairly quick procedure. And once you're done, you can just type in exit here and go back to the normal root user. So the next step would be to actually refresh the packages because we want to have the fastest servers for installing actually the packages. So I'm going to use Reflector, which now comes installed in the ISO. So I'm just going to type in Reflector-C for country. I'm going to do this a little quicker because I've done this already many times and on the channel as well. So Switzerland is my country, and then -A for the age, 6 hours since the server have been refreshed, --sort, and we're going to sort it by speed, and --save, and we're going to save them under /etc pacman.d and then mirrorless. There you go. So it's going to take a second or two here to refresh the mirror list. And on some of these mirrors, I get sometimes some errors, which is fine. Some of the mirrors might not be available for now, which is okay. So now we can refresh that by typing in pacman-syy. And there you go. So next, I'm going to synchronize the network time protocol. So time date CTL and then set -ntp and then true and hit enter. There you go. And then we can proceed by formatting our disk. So LSBLK. So we have here two disks here, but the one I'm looking for is my NVMe 0 and 1 drive. This is the SSD inside of the XPS. It's a 1 terabyte SSD. So I need to format this again. So let's type in gdisk and then /dev/NVMe 0 and 1. So I'm using the gdisk utility because it's a UEFI machine, and gdisk is useful to create GPT labels. So here I'm going just to hit enter, and I'm going to create a new partition table here just to make sure. And I'm going to now create the partitions I need. So I'm going to type in here nen for new. And partition number 1 default is fine. The first sector is fine. The last sector defines the size. So this is going to be the EFI partition. So I'm just going to do it plus 300 megabytes. And then the file system type for this is EF00 because it's a EFI partition. And then I'm going to create also small swap partitions. So N for new, partition number 2 is fine, first sector is fine, the size is going to be 2 gigabytes. And the file system type is going to be 8200, which is the code for the swap. And then I'm going to create my root partition. I'm not going to create any home partition here. I don't need this, so I'm just going to create a new partition and accept here all the defaults and also the code because it's a Linux file system. And now we can write the changes to the disk. So W and confirm by hitting Y. So I'm doing this a little quicker than usual because I think if you're following me since some time, you know already what I do here. I have tons of videos that are going to walk you through this. So let's clean up the terminal. So the next step here would be to format the partitions. So let's type in mkfs. We begin with the EFI partition, which has to be a FAT file system and of a -F32 file system. And then the partition path, which is actually NVMe 0 and 1 P1. To be honest, actually, I should have also showed you this LSBLK. You can see our partition here. So we need to format NVMe 0 and 1 P1 with a EFI, with a FAT file system. So mkfs.fat-f32. So a FAT file system, a 32 FAT file system, and then the partition path, which is /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P1, and hit enter. There you go. Now let's work on the swap. So we need to make the swap first. So mkswap, and then the P2 partition. So /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P2. And then we can activate the swap by typing in swap on, and then /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P2. There you go. Now let's format the third partition, and I'm going to format it with the ext4 file system. So mkfs.ext4 and then /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P3 and hit enter. Now, because it was already a system installed here, I need to remove the signature. So I'm just going to hit Y here. You might not see this if you're doing that on your machine. And that's now formatted. So we can clean up the terminal again. And now we can proceed mounting these partitions. So let's begin with the root partition because that's where the system is going to be installed. So mount /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P3. This is our root partition. And we're going to mount it under /mnt because it's the installation directory, and hit enter. Now we don't need to do anything for the swap, but we need to mount the boot partition. For that, we need to create a directory in the new system. So let's do this by typing in mkdir -p. I'm using the -p option because I want to create two partitions. So /mnt is already existing. I want to create /boot and /EFI because that's where I'm going to mount then our EFI partition, and hit enter here. And now I can mount NVMe 0 and 1 P1 in here. So mount /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 P1, and I'm going to mount this under /mnt/boot/EFI, and then I can hit enter. There you go. So if I type in LSBLK, you can see the mount points there. So we are good to go with the base install. So let's type in pacstrap mnt. So we want to put the base packages into the mnt directory. That's the installation of the new system. And the packages we want to install, that I want to install, it's base, and then Linux, the latest Linux kernel, and then Linux-firmware. I'm going to install also Vim, my editor, and also Intel-U code, because I have here Intel processor on this laptop. If you have an AMD processor, you can also replace this with AMD-U code. And for now, that's going to be it for me. So I'm just going to hit enter here. And this is going to take some time now to download basically and install the packages. So I will take a small break here, guys, and I'll be back with you when it's done. So there you go. It took a little over than 20 seconds to do that. Actually, it wasn't too long. So now we install the base packages. We need to generate the file system table, which is the fstab file where all the mount points of the system are stored. So to do this, we can type in gen fstab capital U, because we want to use the UUIDs of the partitions. And then we're going to take the information which is now under /mnt. Those are the mount points I showed you before. And we're going to put this information under /mnt /etc/fstab. So we are moving this information into the fstab file in our new system. There you go. So if I type in cat /mnt/etc/fstab, you can see the mount points I showed you before. So our root partition, our EFI partition, and our swap partition. Very simple. So now we can move into the installation by typing in arch-root and then /mnt. And now we are working directly in our new system. So first thing first, we should actually work on the time zone. Now, if you don't know which time zone you should put in into your system, you can always use the localctl command to find that out. You can just type in localctl --list time zones and grab that out to the city that you are in, and you will get the result. So once you have that, you can type in ln-sf and then /user/share/zoneinfo/Europe /Zurich. So this is actually the time zone where I'm in right now. USR share zone info, and then you put in basically the time zone that you found out. And we're going to link this to /etc/local time and then hit enter. Okay, now we can synchronize the hardware clock and the system clock. And to do this, we can type in hwclock --sys2hc and hit enter. And there you go. So now we can work on the locales. So we need to edit one file. So let's type in vim /etc/locale.gen. And here you basically have to look for the locale you want to use in your system. So in my case, I'm going to use English US, and we need to pick up actually the one with the connotation UTF-8. So we are just going to uncomment this line and then save this file and exit the editor. Whether it's Vim or Nano or any other editor, it will work anyway. And now we can generate the locales by typing in locale-gen and hit enter. So it's going to take a second to do that. There you go. Now we need to put this string, this enus.utf-8, into the locale.com file. Now there are many ways to do this. One of these ways is to use the echo command. So we can type in echo, double quotes, then lang equal the string we just found, so en_us.utf-8. And we're going to append this information to /etc/locale.conf and then hit enter. Now, if you changed also the keyboard layout because you don't have maybe a US keyboard, as I did, you need to put this also into the vconsole.com file. So to do this, we can use again the echo command. So let's type in echo equal and then keymap equal. The string for my keyboard is de_ch-latin1, double quote, and then we're going to append this information to /etc/vconsole.conf and hit enter. Now, again, if you don't know the key map of your system, of your keyboard, you can use the localctl command, and you can use it with localctm-list-keymaps, and then use the grep function to filter down the search, basically, and you will get your string and you can put it in the system like this. So the next step is to work on the host name. I'm going to use again the echo command for that. So we need to basically give a name to our laptop. So let's type in echo, and I'm going to call mine Arch XPS. And we are going to output this info to /etc/hostname and hit enter. Next, we need to work on the hosts file. For that, I'm going to use Vim. So I'm going to type in Vim /etc/hosts. And I'm going to move down here to the end of the line and create a new line here with the IPv4 address 127.0.0.1, a tab, and then local host, and then ::1, tab, and then local host again. And in the last line, another IP 127.0.1.1, our host name that we just chose, so Arch XPS in my case, .local domain, and then a tab again, and then again Arch XPS. So that's going to do it for the host file. And now we can give a password to the root user. So pass wd and enter our new password and retype it. There you go. So now comes an important part because we need to install a lot of packages that we will need for our system. Beside others, also the grub bootloader and many others. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's type in pacman-s. So the first package is grub. I'm going to install also EFI boot mgr. I'm going to install network manager for managing networks. I'm going to install also network-manager-applet. I'm going to install also WPA_supplicant and dialog. These are all networking tools. Then I'm going to install also mtools and DOS FS tools in case I need to work with some Windows file system files. And we can install also base-devo and Linux-headers to development packages. I'm going to install also Git and Reflector to have them available in the system. I'm going to install Blues and Blues utils for the Bluetooth adapter, if I can type this correctly. There you go. I'm going to install CAPS for the printing system and also HP-lib because I have an HP printer. I'm going to install also xdg-utils and also xdg-user-dirs for having home directories. And I'm going to install also inet-utils, which contains utilities like hostname-ctl command and others, and also DNS-utils, because sometimes I need some of these utilities to configure my DNS. And what else we can install here? We can install also bash-completion. I'm going to install also TLP for my laptop here, and also PowerTop, which is a utility from Intel that lets you see statistics for your laptop power management. Some audio utilities, so ALSA-utils is one, and then also Pulse Audio. And I'm going to install also Pulse Audio-Bluetooth. I'm going to need that anyway, so some power utilities. So one is ACPI, and I'm going to install also ACPI_call. And I think for now it's enough. So I'm just going to hit enter here and proceed with the installation. So again, this is going to take a couple of seconds because it's not too much to download. And I'll be back with you guys in a second. So there you go. The installation is done. Now let me clean up the terminal and install an extra package that I forgot. So pacman-s and then OpenSSH, because I'm going to need this afterwards when I reboot my laptop. And there you go. So let's install now our grub bootloader. So let's type in grub-install. Now the first parameter, --target. So this is a UEFI machine, so x86_64-EFI. --EFI-directory, that's the second parameter. And if you remember at the beginning, we mounted this under /boot/EFI. And then the last parameter, --bootloader ID equal grub. And then hit enter. So there you go, installation finished, no error reported. Now we need to generate the configuration file for grub. So let's type in grub-mkconfig-o. So the output of this command is going to go under /boot/grub/grub.cfg and hit enter. It's going to take a second to do this. There you go. Now we need to enable some of the services that we just installed that will be available once we reboot the laptop. So the first one is Network Manager, otherwise we won't have internet available. So let me type in systemctl enable Network Manager and hit enter. I'm going to do the same for the Bluetooth service. So I'll pull up the last command here and replace Network Manager with Bluetooth. And I'm going to do the same for the CAPS printing system. So I'm going to replace this with CAPS. I'm going to do the same also for OpenSSH with SSHD and hit enter. Now I'm gonna also enable the TLP service because it's for the power management of the laptop. So I'm gonna pull up the last command here and also type in TLP. And I think for now the services are good. So we can actually create a user for the system. So let's type in user add -m capital G and then wheel and then the username hermano. Now this is going to create a user with my name. The M switch is for the home directory and the capital G, it's going to give the supplementary wheel group to this user, which we are going to configure in a second for the sudo privileges. Then I'm going to give a password for this user. So pass wd and then the username and enter the password and retype it. And you can also type in usermod -c. So the C stands for comment. We are modifying this user because if you notice when you install Arch, normally you would install this and you would see your name, your username on the login prompt. If you put in this comment basically with my full name in this case, it's going to basically give the full information about the user to the system. So if you want, you can do this, is optional. And then let's work on the sudo privileges. So editor equal vim and then vice sudo. Scroll down here and we need to basically enable the wheel group, which has the line all equal all. So we just delete the hashtag here and then we can save the file and exit vim. So let's clean up the terminal and the base install here is done. So what I need to do now, I need to type in exit to go back to the ISO and then umount -a to unmount all the disks. And now we can reboot the machine. So I'm going to lose connection to the laptop here, but I'm going to do this live with you. So there you go. And you can see here, maybe you don't see it, well, I cannot hang it, I cannot put it in front of you, but now I can remove my ISO here. And you can see we have grub. It's very tiny because the resolution here, it's a 4K display. So I'm just going to hit enter here. And it's going to take a second to boot up. And as you can see, I have a login prompt here. I don't know, maybe you cannot see it, but I'm going to type in here my name and my password for the user that I just created. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to type in an MTUI because I need to connect the network to the wireless network. Otherwise, I can't connect via SSH. So let me do this and then I'll show you on the terminal here how it's actually done because it's much better to do it on a big monitor. So enter my password here for the Wi-Fi. It's going to take a moment to connect. And there you go, this is done. So I can go back here and type in IP space A and I can see my IP so I can connect back via SSH here. So let me do this and just I need to change the last IP number because it's not the same one. So it's 168. So enter my fingerprint again and enter my password for the user on my laptop. Oh, I forgot actually this is not anymore root, is actually me. So let me correct this. There you go. And enter my password. And there you go. Now we are in my laptop. So what I did there for the Wi-Fi so that you can see better, I typed in an MTUI. And then you can go to activate a connection. I mean, if you have Ethernet cable, it should be already working. But if not, and you have Wi-Fi, you go to activate a connection. You can choose the Wi-Fi you have here. Then you hit enter, select, enter the password, and you will be having an IP as well. So this is how it's working. Now, first, some maintenance. I want to actually, again, enable some things before proceeding installing the rest of the system. The first one is to actually enable the network time protocol also on my laptop. So I'll type in sudo time date ctl and then set-ntp true and hit enter. Need to enter my sudo password and that's done. Next, I'm going to synchronize also the two clocks. So sudo hw clock --sys to hc. There you go. And there is one package that we need to install still that I forgot before if we want to use Reflector. So this is actually quite new because this package was used to come with the base install, but it's not anymore. So sudo pacman-s and the package is rsync and then hit enter. So proceed with the installation here and there you go. Now I can use Reflector. So I'll type in sudo reflector. You can see the bash completion is now working. -c and then again my country Switzerland -a again 6 hours --sort. So we're gonna sort them by speed --save. We are going to save this under /etc/pacman.d/mirror list. Now it's going to give me probably again an error for 1 mirror or 2 mirrors, depending on the configuration of the mirrors. In the last couple of days, some of the mirrors in my country have been not upgraded. Oh, but this time actually it's working fine. So now we can refresh the server. So sudo pacman-s yy. There you go. And I want to activate the reflector timer because I want to have my mirrors updated every week. So I'm going to type in sudo systemctl enable --now and then reflector.timer. There you go. The next thing is to enable also the fstream timer from my SSD. So I'm going to pull up the last command here and replace reflector with fstream.timer. So we have the best performance out of my SSD. Now, before proceeding installing the desktop environment here, I want to install also the Yay helper. This is optional, completely optional. You don't have to do that. I'm going to use Paru in this video, but you can use Yay or you can just use the git command to clone the repositories and install manually. It's really up to you. So, but for those of you who want to use the helper, I'm going to show you how you can install Paru on the system. So we're going to type in git clone https:// and then aur.archlinux.org/paru and hit enter. So it's going to take a second. There you go. Now we can move into the paru directory, which was just created. So cd paru, and then we can type in make pkg-si and proceed. It's going to probably ask again for the password. So first we need to select the repository. Number 1 is fine here and proceed with the installation of Rust, which is the dependency. It's downloading and installing, and now it's pulling down the package and it will compile it. So it's going to take maybe 30 seconds to do that. So I'll take a very small break and I'll be back with you soon. So here now we are at the installation of Paru. So the compiling is done. So we just hit enter and Paru is installed. So let's go back to the home directory here and clean up the terminal. Now let's install the packages we need for this laptop. So here comes the part where we need to configure a lot of things. So let's type in sudo pacman-s. So the first package I want to install is the graphic drivers. So I'm going to install both Intel and NVIDIA graphic card drivers, and then I'm going to configure them afterwards. So the first one is xf86-video-intel. Then I'm going to install NVIDIA for the NVIDIA card. This is the latest driver for the card. And also NVIDIA-utils. And also NVIDIA-settings. And I'm going to install also Xorg. I'm going to install the whole group here. For this video, I'm going to install GNOME. So you can install, of course, any desktop environment if you like, or window manager. So the display manager is GDM. And then I want to install GNOME and also GNOME Extra. I'm going to install Firefox as a browser, and I'm going to install also Chrome-GNOME-shell because it's needed for some extensions. And the last package I want to install is GNOME-tweaks. And that's going to do it for now. So I'm just going to hit enter here and accept all the defaults and proceed with installation. So this is going to take a little longer probably to install because it's quite a big package. So I'll be back with you guys in a second. So there you go. It's installed now. We can clean up the terminal. And there are two things that we need still to configure before I can boot into the laptop with the graphical environment. One, we need to change the mkinitcpio.com file. So this is important because I noticed that my laptop and also my main machine without this configuration will not boot graphically. So I'm going to type in sudo vim/etc/mkinitcpio.conf. And what I need to do here, I need to go under the modules and type in here the Intel module first, which is i915, and also the NVIDIA module, which is NVIDIA. And save this file and exit Vim. And now I need to recreate the image by typing in sudo mkinitcpio-p and then Linux. If you install the Linux kernel, if you install Linux LTS, this is going to be Linux LTS. And it's going to rebuild the image with those two modules in mind. Without this, this laptop specifically, but also my main machine here, since the last couple of months, wouldn't boot graphically if I don't put those into the modules in this configuration file. So if you're having the same issue, you can try this out. So the last thing I want to do before I boot up is actually to change something in GDM. And for do this, I'm going to type in sudo vim/etc/gdm and then custom.conf. And the line that I want to uncomment here, it's this one, Wayland enable false, because I don't want to have actually Wayland in the choice, because by default GNOME is going to boot in Wayland. And because I'm planning to install on this laptop the pop shell doesn't work really well with Wayland. So I want to disable it just to make sure that I'm not logging in there by mistake. And then we need to enable GDM. So sudo systemctl enable GDM and hit enter. There you go. So the last thing, actually, before rebooting, I want to install the simple screen recorder on the laptop so that I can actually record the screen there, because the next time I see you guys, it's going to be on the laptop. So I'm going to type in sudo pacman-s and then simple screen recorder. There you go. That's enough. And then proceed with the install. So this is it. And what we can do now, we can type in reboot. So I'm going to type in reboot here, and I'll see you guys back on my laptop once it's rebooted. So guys, I thought I'd meet you back on the laptop, but the laptop has a different screen resolution. It's a 4K display, and I tried to record there, but when I put it in the editor to mix and match both resolution 1080p and 4K, it's not a good idea. So I decided to redo the laptop part here via SSH, because what I want to show you is anyway available on the terminal. So basically I did now reboot the laptop and everything is working fine on the laptop. I have GNOME. Now the thing that I would normally do, because it's an Optimus laptop, I would go to the ArchWiki and manage basically the drivers for NVIDIA and Intel the way I want to. Now in this video I'm going to do it a little differently, and let me show you how. I have a website here prepared for you. This is the System76 Power package that you find also on GitHub. And this is the one actually that you would normally find when you install Pop! OS. Now, this is a great utility because it basically helps you to use integrated NVIDIA or hybrid. And when you use, for example, integrated, then the NVIDIA card will be basically disabled. And because you cannot anyway disable the integrated graphic card, you can have the choice to work with the hybrid mode or then NVIDIA. Now, fortunately, we have this also in the AUR. If I type in here system 76-power-AUR and hit enter, we have, you can see here, the package in the AUR. So I installed this, I tested it out on this laptop, and it works really well. So let me close here the window. I will leave a link to it in the video description below as usual. Let me clean up the terminal here and type in lspci. And I'll decrease the font size here slightly. So you can see in this laptop we have the Intel UHD graphics. This is the integrated graphic card. And we have also the 3D controller. This is the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 Ti graphic card. So now let's go ahead and install the System76 Power utility. So I'll increase the font size here, and I have Paru here on the system, so I'm going to use that to install that. So I'll type in Paru-S and then System 76-power and hit enter. Now it's going to ask me for the repository. I'm going to choose the number 1 default here, and I'm going to accept here the dependencies. We need to install a couple of those, so nothing to review. And I'll type in my password here and proceed with the installation of Rust and DKMS, which is needed for this utility. Now, this is going to take some time because it needs to install the dependencies and also compile the package. So I'll be back with you guys in a second. There you go, the package is now installed. Now, we need to pay attention here to the information on the screen. It says the System76 Power package provides the following system services. So this is basically running as a daemon. We have the System76 Power service that we need to activate. And we have the System76 Power CLI, the command line interface. Now, there is also a GNOME extension for this utility, but it's not working with the version of GNOME in Arch. I tried it out, but it just won't load the extension. Now, probably this is going to be updated sometime in the future to support also the latest version of GNOME, but at the moment, the GNOME extension is not working. That's the one you get usually in Pop! OS, where you can switch basically the profiles of your graphic card under the power menu. Now, in Arch, if you use this utility, we'll have to do it via the command line. It's also saying here, if you're using an NVIDIA graphics card, you might need to add additional X11 config to make the GPU switching work. Now, in my case, it works fine without any additional modifications. But if you encounter this problem, there is the wiki article which is referred here in this line. So you can go ahead and explore this if you have problems using only the NVIDIA card. Now, what we need to do, we need to first enable the daemon. So let's type in sudo systemctl enable -- now and then system76-power.service and hit enter. Now if we check the status by typing in systemctl status system76-power service, you can see it's up and running. So now how we can use this utility? Well, first of all, the system76 power utility has to be used as a sudo user. So to see the options available, we could type in actually system76-power-help. For that, we don't need sudo privileges. And you can see what we can do here. So the one that I'm very interested on is this graphics options. So with this one, we can switch graphic cards. Now, again, pay attention. If I type in lspci and I decrease a bit the font size here, you can see we have the NVIDIA card here displaying correctly. Now, I want to switch to my integrated graphic card because I don't need to work with the NVIDIA card right now. So I'm going to type in sudo system76-power and then graphics. And I'm going to switch to the Intel card by typing in integrated and then hit enter. Now it's going to take a moment here to do this because it needs to change the settings for the NVIDIA graphic card. And then when the process is done, we will need to reboot the laptop for the settings to take effect. And this has to be done every time you switch the graphic card. Now it's a little inconvenient, but it's worth it if you want to save power, if you don't need the NVIDIA graphic card. So this is now done. So let me type in here exit. And I'm going to reboot my machine and I'll meet you back here on SSH once it's done. So here we are back on the laptop. Now, let me actually decrease the font size slightly here. And now we booted up with the integrated graphic card. So let's type in again lspci because I want to check if I can see still my NVIDIA card. And as you can see, it's gone from the system. I mean, it's still in the system, of course, but it has been deactivated by the System76 Power utility. Now, if I want to use the hybrid mode, I can type in sudo system76-power graphics and then hybrid. Now, once that is done, I need to reboot the machine to be able to use this. And if I want to use only the NVIDIA card, I can replace hybrid with NVIDIA and hit enter. And then once it's done, you need to reboot the machine. So it's very simple and also very powerful. Now, as I said before, there is a GNOME extension, but it's not working on this version of GNOME. But again, hopefully it's going to be updated in the future so that we can use it also on this version of GNOME. So this is basically it for the installation of Arch Linux with the February ISO 2021 on the Dell XPS 159500 using the System76 Power utility. If you try this out or if you try this out on another laptop, let me know in the comments below how it's working for you. And if you have any question about this video, let me also know in the comments below. I will try to answer you as usual as soon as I can. So there you go, guys. This is the installation of Arch Linux with the February 2021 ISO and the System76-Power command utility on the laptop. Now, it's a great way to manage your graphic cards on the laptop. It's the same included in Pop! OS, which is definitely a great Linux distribution. And it's nice actually that we have the opportunity on the AUR to install this utility. On this XPS 15, it works really well for me. And if you try it out on another laptop, let me know in the comments below how it's working for you. If you have also any other question, let me also know in the comments below, and I will try to answer you as soon as I can. I hope also that you liked this video, guys. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Subs always help me out. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by visiting the Patreon website, or you can donate via PayPal to my website as well. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.